Hey everybody, Chad here with another Life Spark video. This time I want to introduce you to an interview with a friend of mine, Dr. Randy Ross. Check out what he's got to say to help all of our relationships grow. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is you're listening to this, and welcome. Today we are having the pleasure of talking with a friend, a mentor of mine, Dr. Randy Ross. Let me tell you a little about Randy. He is the founder and CEO. Now what that is here, that's the Chief Enthusiasm Officer, I love it, of Remarkable. He's a master of cultural transformation. Dr. Ross has a unique understanding of employee engagement and offers practical solutions for increasing both team morale and performance. And folks, when we're talking team, one of the things I know about Randy here is that it's not just team at the office, it's team in your life, it's team at home as well. So Randy, thanks for joining us and taking a few minutes with us today.
Absolutely, Chad. It's my pleasure, and it's great to be with you.
Well, we're looking forward to it. I loved the first book, Remarkable. If anybody that's listening to this hasn't read it, they should definitely go get their copy of it. And now what we've got is we've got a new book coming. We've got Relationomics. Did I say that correctly?
Said it right. That's it.
I've been working on that one to make sure I didn't stumble over it. We've got that one coming out, and I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of it. Randy, I know we've got some great stuff in it. Talk to us about relationships because they are so crucial in all areas of our life.
Well, they are, Chad. And we wrote the book. The subtitle is Business Powered by Relationships, because the reality is the healthier your relationships are, the healthier your business is going to be. Because people and organizations, they thrive in relationally rich environments. You think that's pretty much common sense, but I can assure you, as I've traveled the country, that's not necessarily common practice, at least putting the principles into play that lead to healthy relationships, because we all make this assumption that how do we get to adulthood if we didn't know how to do relationships? But it's sort of like parenting. You know, there were no classes on it. We just sort of picked it up as we went along, and some of us do it much better than others. And what we've seen is that relationships, unfortunately, are often neglected because organizations, they invest heavily in their products or their services. They invest heavily in the process in terms of efficiency, but they're not always so good at investing in relationships. And so we wanted to provide some practical insights and some tools that leaders could take and apply to develop healthier teams, healthier environments, craft their culture in a way that inspires people to bring their best to work every day.
Wow. Wow. So, Randy, I know in the new book, which again, I'm excited to get my hands on, I've already ordered my advanced copy, waiting for it to show up when it gets shipped here. One of the things you've got in the book is you've got the 5 relational rules of engagement. Now, let's tease everybody a little bit. Let's talk about number 1. Tell me, what's rule number 1?
Okay. Well, rules of engagement is just this idea. The term rules of engagement actually comes from warfare. And because of conventions, particularly the Geneva Convention, rules of engagement talk about how one military force engages with and stays in conflict in a civil way with other forces. In other words, there's this desire to minimize collateral damage or to have as few civilian casualties as possible. And a lot of times we experience conflict in the marketplace. Now, granted, very rarely is it life-threatening, but it is very much culture-threatening. Because if we don't deal with conflict appropriately, then we can literally decimate our culture. There's a term used oftentimes in corporate circles. We say conflict management. I hate that term because who wants to manage conflict? I want to resolve it. We want to resolve conflict to get to the root of what's going on, eliminate the cause of bad relationships, and move forward in a healthy way. So we have 5 relational rules of engagement that if organizations would practice or teams would practice these 5 rules, it would create a healthier atmosphere where we could play better in the sandbox together. And I'll share the first one with you. I'll tease you and let you look up the other 4.
Perfect.
But honestly, Chad, the first one is the most important because the first one, if we would simply practice this one principle, it would eliminate 85% of all conflict in the marketplace. And so here it is. You ready?
I'm ready.
It's a commitment that we make to one another. It's stated in first person, and it says this: I will talk to you before I ever talk about you. In other words,
say it again, Randy, for those who are actually taking some notes who are out there listening to it. Just say that one more time because, wow, just that sentence is powerful.
Yeah. Well, when conflict arises, when people are offended, when things slide sideways, our tendency is always to try to talk to other people around us other than the offending party, because either we're afraid, we don't know how to have that difficult conversation. We want to get people emotionally to side with us. We want to, get our ammunition together. And so we talk to everybody else. We call that gossip. But the rule is, I promise to you, in order to maintain a spirit of unity, I will talk to you before I ever talk about you. In other words, when I have a problem with you, Chad, I'm coming to you. I'm not going to go to anybody else. I'm not going to talk about the issues. I'm not going to talk about you. I'm coming to you. And in a mature, healthy way, we're going to try to work out our differences so that it doesn't unnecessarily infect the attitude of other people.
Wow. That's a simple one sentence. And you're right. It can change so many things at home. It can change so many things in business. It can change so many things everywhere we are, as we all, as you say, attempt to get our army all built up, our ammunition ready before we actually go have that conflict by talking to other people. That is great. Now, Randy, you told me that you got a little exercise to help everybody here. What is that? Tell us about this little exercise we can each be doing.
Well, the exercise actually is quite simple. It's almost silly, but the reason that I want to give it to you, I think it's so incredibly beneficial. And when you think about the idea of building a business, you have to have a business plan. And so I'll talk to people about their business plan, but it amazes me when I talk about, let's just say, their marriage, a significant relationship in their life. I will ask them, what's your marriage plan? What's your relationship plan for your marriage? And 99 out of 100 people look at me like I'm crazy. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean a plan for my marriage? Well, you have a plan to build your business. You have a plan to improve your revenue. You have a plan to move the business forward. Why would you not also have a plan to build your marriage? And so the question, usually precipitates a wide array of interesting responses. But the most common one is, I have no place to begin. I have no idea how to put together a plan to improve my marriage. And so here's the simple exercise, and you can use it with your spouse. You could use it with your kids. You can use it with your team members. And it goes like this. Take any topic that's relevant to, let's just stay with the topic of marriage. Take any topic that's relevant to your relationship as a spouse. It could be parenting. It could be communication. It could be time together. It could be intimacy. It could be emotional connection. Whatever the topic is, it doesn't matter. And probably a good idea for you to make that list together. And then take one or two of those areas of interest and ask this question of the other party. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you currently rate that aspect of our relationship? So let's just say, let's take the topic of communication. I would ask Luann, and do quite regularly, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate our relationship? Now, just a word of caution for the guys. I want you to know that typically the women in our lives will rate those areas 2 to 3 points lower than we do.
Got it. Okay.
They're more sensitive. They probably are more insightful than we are. Guys tend to be a little bit on the brain dead side. I think it has something to do with the testosterone washing the womb. But you let them score it, and don't get defensive. Whatever that score may be, let's just say I rate our communication at a 7 or an 8, but my wife rates it at a 5. Don't debate over that. That's not the most important part.
Okay.
The follow-up question is where the gold is. And so the follow-up question is this. Okay, so you rated our relationship a 5 on a scale of 10. I think we both want it to be a 10, don't we? To which she always agrees. Yeah, I want it to be the best it can possibly be. So here's the question. This is the jewel. In your mind's eye, what would be necessary for me to do in order to move it from a 5 to a 10? And that's your plan. In any area, any topic, scale of 1 to 10, what would it take for us to move it from where it currently sits and make it a 10? Now, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't have 20 topics and 20 action points on each area. But if you just had 1 or 2 action points that are significant in those areas that are vital to your marriage, and you started investing your emotional time and energy to respond to those things that she feels are significant and important for the growth of the relationship, I can tell you that's worth its weight right there in gold. So it's a simple exercise. But you can apply that to your marriage. You can apply that to your relationship with your kids. You can apply it to your team members. What would it take for us to have that stellar relationship? And then whenever they say those are your action points, that's your plan.
That's great. And they don't have to happen. You're not going to go from a 5 to a 10 overnight.
Not
You
at
should
all.
be moving towards that 10. Hey, you might sit down next year or next quarter, reevaluate, and find out you made it to a 6. At least you're moving towards that 10.
Exactly. I think the thing that we have to realize is that it doesn't have to be exponential leaps. It can be incremental progress. And I think the idea, what's important is that they know that we have a heart to make it better, and we're intentionally taking steps to move it in the right direction.
Wow. Randy, thanks so much. Can't wait to get our hands on the copy. Relationomics. Everybody go check that out. I'll be posting the link for you to have here with the video. The book is coming. You want to make sure you get your copy of it to find out what the other 4 rules of engagement are, because Randy only shared with us number 1 today. Thanks so much, Dr. Ross. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Chad.